1. The Vanishing Road. It was the late 1980s when a group of college friends decided to set out on an adventurous road trip through the desolate landscapes of the American Southwest. With an outdated road map and a youthful sense of excitement, they aimed to explore a famous ghost town rumored to be hidden deep within the arid desert. Their journey began smoothly as they followed the old highway, eager to uncover the secrets of the abandoned town. As they ventured deeper into the desert, the road markings grew increasingly faint, and the surrounding landscape turned eerily desolate. The relentless sun bore down on them, and the air shimmered with heat. Then, without warning, it happened. The road ahead seemed to vanish into thin air. Panic set in as they realized they were utterly lost in the vast desert, miles away from civilization, with dwindling supplies of water and food. They tried desperately to backtrack, but no matter which direction they drove, they inexplicably found themselves back at the same spot. Hours turned into days, and their situation grew dire. Dehydration and exhaustion began to take their toll, just as hope seemed to be fading. A grizzled trucker appeared seemingly out of nowhere, his rig breaking the eerie silence of the desert. He guided them out of the inexplicable loop and led them back to the main highway. To this day, the friends can't explain the strange phenomenon they experienced, and it remains a haunting memory of their ill-fated road trip. 2. The Abandoned Motel. A family of 4 was in the midst of a cross-country road trip, meandering their way through the picturesque Appalachian Mountains. Along a remote back road, they stumbled upon an old, decrepit motel that piqued their curiosity. Deciding it could be an interesting place to spend the night, they parked their car and checked into one of the rooms. The motel room was musty and filled with a palpable sense of foreboding. As the family settled in for the night, strange noises began to permeate the air, footsteps echoing in the empty hallway, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, and the unnerving creaking the floorboards. Terrified, they decided to flee the room and return to their car. As they hurriedly exited the motel, they glanced back at the windows of the room they had just vacated. What they saw sent shivers down their spines. Shadowy figures moved within the dimly lit room, their forms indistinct but unmistakably present. The family never looked back, never discovered the motel's history, and continued on their journey, haunted by that night forever. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. Write which story you liked the most in the comments. 3. The Hitchhiker's Disappearance. A young couple set off on a romantic road trip along the rugged coastline of Northern California. On a lonely stretch of highway, they spotted a lone hitchhiker standing by the roadside. Feeling compassionate and hoping to share some of their adventure, they decided to offer the stranger a ride. The hitchhiker was a softly spoken man with a pale complexion and sunken eyes. He didn't say much during the drive, which made the couple increasingly uneasy. Their destination drew nearer, and they turned to thank the hitchhiker for accompanying them. However, when they looked back, he had vanished from the back seat, leaving no trace of his presence. Confused and shaken, they pulled over and searched the car thoroughly, but there was no sign of the mysterious hitchhiker. Then they discovered something that sent chills down their spines. Tucked between the seats was an old, faded photograph of a man who looked strikingly similar to the hitchhiker. Written on the back of the photo were the words "Thank you" in elegant, looping script, leaving the couple with an unsettling mystery that remains unsolved to this day. 4. The Vanishing Gas Station. 2 friends embarked on an adventurous road trip across the vast plains of Texas, seeking excitement and new experiences. On a seemingly endless stretch of highway, their fuel gauge dipped dangerously low, forcing them to pull into a dilapidated gas station that appeared to have been abandoned for years. With no other option in sight, they decided to fill up their tank at this eerie pit stop. As they pumped gas, the wind whistled through the rusted pumps, and the station seemed devoid of life. Inside the convenience store, they found a disheveled, elderly attendant who looked as though he had not seen a customer in years. He mumbled the total price, and as they handed over the money, the lights in the store flickered ominously. Startled, the friends hurriedly left the gas station and sped away in their car. Glancing in the rearview mirror, they saw the gas station growing smaller in the distance. But something was amiss. The elderly attendant had vanished entirely, and the once abandoned station now appeared truly deserted. Their encounter at the Vanishing Gas Station left them bewildered and unnerved, and they never could shake the feeling that they had stumbled upon a place that existed in a realm between the past and the present, leaving them with an unsettling mystery that remains unsolved to this day. 5. The Silent Forest. A group of adventurous friends decided to embark on a road trip through the remote woods of the Pacific Northwest. Their destination was a picturesque cabin nestled deep in the heart of an ancient forest. The road leading to the cabin was narrow and winding, surrounded by towering trees that blocked out the sun, casting the area in a perpetual twilight. As they ventured further into the woods, their cell phone signals grew weaker until they had no reception at all. The friends brushed it off as part of the wilderness experience, eager to reach their destination. Eventually, they arrived at the cabin, which appeared abandoned, its windows shattered, and its doors hanging off their hinges. Despite the unsettling condition of the cabin, they decided to spend the night there. That night, strange sounds echoed through the forest, eerie whispers that seemed to come from the trees themselves and the haunting cries of unseen creatures. Terrified, they huddled together in the dimly lit cabin. As the hours passed, the forest grew eerily silent. When dawn finally broke, they cautiously ventured outside, only to find the once thriving forest had turned into a desolate wasteland. The towering trees were reduced to gnarled, dead husks, and there was no sign of the creatures they had heard the previous night. With no other option, they fled the cursed forest, their road trip forever marred by the haunting experience. 6. The Haunted Highway. A couple on a cross-country road trip found themselves traveling through the desolate stretches of Route 66, known for its history and folklore. As night fell, they decided to stop at a seemingly abandoned motel that had seen better days. The neon sign flickered ominously as they pulled into the empty parking lot. Inside the motel, the couple encountered a weary night clerk who offered them a room at a steep discount. They accepted the offer and were led to their room, which had a peculiar, unsettling atmosphere. Despite the unease, exhaustion got the better of them, and they drifted off to sleep. In the middle of the night, they were jolted awake by a series of eerie sounds. Footsteps echoing in the hallway, hushed conversations that seemed to emanate from the walls, and the sensation of being watched. They ventured out into the dimly lit motel, only to discover that the once empty parking lot was now filled with vintage cars from the 1950s, their engines running and headlights piercing the darkness. Terrified and disoriented, the couple tried to leave, but their car refused to start. They returned to their room, where they found an old newspaper from the 1950s, featuring a headline about a tragic accident on Route 66 that claimed several lives. It was then that they realized they had stepped back in time, and the motel was trapped in a perpetual loop, haunted by the ghosts of the past. With no other choice, they huddled in their room until morning, when they finally woke up in the present day. Their road trip continued, but the haunting memories of the night on the haunted highway would stay with them forever. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. Write which story you liked the most in the comments.